FightFans Radio.
Welcome to Across the Pond. With your hosts, Andre Jacobs and Matt Simpson.
Wait, yeah, dude, are we live?
I think we might be.
I really wanted to get a drink as well, but that doesn't that doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Across the Pond MMA. My name is Andre Jacobs, and as per usual, I'm here with the fantastic, the brilliant, and he may not agree with this statement, or you know, he's kind of weird like that, but the beautiful Matt Simpson. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I have to admit that this weekend I'm really excited. Next week I get my first tattoo, so I'm really focused on that more than anything.
What? Are you scared?
Oh, absolutely not, man. I've been wanting to get a tattoo since I was about 19, and so I'm 35. I've been just waiting to find the right artist to do it, and I'm also glad that I didn't get the tattoos that I wanted when I was 19 because one of them would have been somewhat of a tramp stamp, which at 19. I didn't know what the hell a tramp stamp was, and that phrase wasn't in use. So I'm glad I didn't go with those tattoos. But I'm super excited.
Are you going to tell us where it's going to be and what it is?
Yeah, I'm getting a Japanese dragon on my my right arm. I mean, I've been a big fan of martial arts my entire life and participated in it, and I'm a big fan of the Orient. And I was born in the year of the dragon, so. It's something that means a lot to me, so that's what I'm going with.
Well, we have something in common because I've got something. I was born in the year of the snake, and I have a year of the snake tattoo on my arm. So now we have another thing in common. I feel the love right now, the joint at the loins.
But yeah, so I'm super. And the guy's nasty. Yes, they're joined at the loins. The guy's a nasty tattoo artist too. Monty. Tattoo.com. You can check him out if you're in the Indiana area. By far and away one of the best tattoo artists I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I think you'll have to send me a picture of this new tattoo that you're getting. I can't wait to hear about you squirming in pain.
That's just it, man. That's the other thing. This guy, you pretty much don't bleed because it's the way he tats, and everybody I talk to, there's just really no pain with this guy. He's just that good. So. I don't know. We'll find out. I had to wait 6 months. I had booked out 6 months to get this guy. He was 6 months behind.
Wow. Damn, son. Incredible. Erica, it's good to have you back. How are you?
I am very good, friend. Very good. It's good to be back in the good old US of A.
Well, you're in Brazil and you see a fantastic event. You got to tell us a little bit about it. Are you allowed to tell us a little bit about it? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much I can really tell you that you didn't already see on TV. There wasn't really a whole lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on, but Brazil is beautiful. I had a hard time finding something to eat. If you're an extremely picky eater, it may be a little difficult for you. But
I'm sure it's just meat.
Believe it or not, there was a surprisingly large amount of what looked like lunch meats being served. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Really? That sounds perfect to me.
See, no, that's not perfect for me.
Oh.
Yeah, and their cheese is a little, because it's pasteurized, a little different than what I'm used to. It definitely had like a different taste to it, and I don't really do different when it comes to food. It's just not my thing. So, but the event was, pretty amazing. Every MMA fighter who is Brazilian was there. Bigfoot Silva was there, and Shogun was there, and Vitor Belfort was there. So, really interesting night. Anderson Silva, of course, broke a whole bunch of records that night. Most wins in the UFC. He beat Matt Hughes, who used to hold that record. I think he also got the record for most wins via TKO in the UFC. He's just, he's an amazing guy, and it was a pleasure to watch him work.
Now, I have to ask a question, as I've never had a chance to see John Fitch fight live. I'm assuming you have before, am I right?
Say that again. I'm sorry, man.
Was that the first time you've seen John Fitch fight live?
I think so. Yeah, because it's been a really long time since he's fought, and the last time he fought, it was the
Johnny Hendricks knockout.
Yeah, it was Johnny Hendricks knockout, and I'm trying to remember if I was at that event. I don't think I was. They're starting to kind of blur together in my head, but go ahead.
But the question is basically, how buck wild did John Fitch get in that fight live? Because people who've been to a fight live will know that what you see on TV is kind of different from what you see live. For me personally, I don't know how it is for you guys.
Okay, so the way that we're set up at the events, we're not actually cage side. We are backstage with our own monitors. So I couldn't tell you how the audience really reacted to it, but the role that I was playing at this particular event was stats producer. So I was the person telling them what stats to put on the screen, and the producer was losing his shit in my headset. He was like, "Oh my God, look at John Fitch! Oh shit! Look at John Fitch!" So if that's any indication of how buck wild people were getting in general about John Fitch and his performance that night, it was pretty crazy. So.
Yeah, no, he definitely got buck wild in that fight, so it was definitely fun to see. Any little tidbits that you want to share with us? Let the people in a little bit. Otherwise, you can just go.
Well, just one thing. I can give you one thing, and I talked to some people at the event, and apparently the UFC is planning to go back to Brazil 5 times next year. If that's any indication of how well that they do in that country. So the question is, the UFC seems to be putting live gate receipts above pay-per-view buys at this point, because their foreign pay-per-view buys are always kind of crappy compared to ones that are local, I guess I should say, within the states. So, they had an impressive turnout in Brazil. It was sold out, but I don't know. Discuss. I don't know. Is that worth it? Five times in Brazil instead of trying to sell out something in the U.S. and probably getting better pay-per-view buys? I don't know.
Well, it's all part of their international expansion, isn't it?
I think the international expansion is a little bit much. That's just me personally. I'm going.
My problem is that with most of the cards, they're just so heavy on the on the country that they're in that you just get a lot of lopsided wins. I mean, you get really talented guys fighting guys that aren't so talented to give those fans of that country an exciting fight.
Yeah, no, completely agree. But I need to ask a question. Regardless of the whole MMA thing, did you have Acai Buckeye or whatever it's called? Acai? Acai, is that what it's called?
Acai? You talking about the fruit?
Yeah. All the drink that Vitor Belfort drinks
it's a fruit, but
the
fruit is, I just could go on record saying that is the most pain in the ass fruit to eat, and why God or whoever put it on this earth is beyond me, because it is a pain in the ass to get to anything worth eating on that fruit.
Okay, cool.
Just for those that are wondering, it is an absolute. I hate that thing. So yeah. Anyways, what was your question?
Enough, Matt. Don't really know what to say to that. But what you can tell me regardless of a weird fruit to eat, is what happened on Bellator? What were your thoughts? I've got a little thing about Bellator. I actually watched the fight, some of the event, and I have a little thing to say about it, but I'll let you break it down for us.
Okay, well, Bellator 77 gave us the lightweight tournament quarterfinals. Overall, not a bad card. There were a couple, I wouldn't say there, I think there was one really big upset that really surprised me. It was the first fight of the night, the Ricardo Trelawney versus Hina Nazare. I really felt like Nazare was, to me, had a really good chance of winning this tournament. He was clearly the more skilled fighter going against Trelawney, but late in the second round, he was throwing a barrage of punches, and Trelawney caught him with an uppercut, and Nazare couldn't recover. Ended up losing a submission loss via Darce choke. I was just completely surprised by that, blown away, I guess. I mean, Trelawney's good on the ground. I mean, getting the submission isn't a big deal, but the fact that he submitted Nazare is a big deal, even though Nazare was hurt. It was a big surprise win. It was a fun fight, though, just because of the big comeback by Trelawney. The next fight we had was Marcin Held versus Murad Makayev. This fight was back and forth, but it really wasn't the best fight of the night. It was a rather boring fight. Held's stand-up is still has a lot of work. I mean, he was missing with some wild spinning back fists and spinning back kicks. Makayev's a little bit more reserved. It was a close decision. It was a unanimous decision win for Held. I don't think it would upset anybody if Makayev would have won that fight. I think that there was a couple really close rounds. But Held, he's fantastic on the ground, and the obvious the reason they're in this tournament is the opportunity to beat Mike Chandler. And if Chandler takes it to the ground against Held, and Held has got a chance. If it stays standing, though, Chandler will beat the living hell out of him. Then we had Dave Jansen versus Magomed Saidulayev. And again, this probably in this fight, the winner of this fight, I think has the best chance of giving Chandler at least a little bit of a go. And that was Dave Jansen. He ended up getting a submission win. The guy's a very durable fighter, has decent striking, and is solid on the ground. So if the fight goes to the ground, he can maybe give Chandler some fits. I guess a little bit of surprise again in the main event. We had Rich Clemente versus Alexander Sarnovsky. Sarnovsky, I was really looking forward to this kid coming into Bellator and seeing what he had. And going against a vet like Clemente, it showed that he has no ground game. Clemente's stand-up is complete garbage. I mean, if they would have had to stay standing, Sarnovsky would have beat the living hell out of him. And Sarnovsky is a dynamic striker, and once he develops a ground game, I think he'll be a pretty nasty lightweight. But clearly, he has a lot of room to grow when it comes to getting back to his feet on the ground. I mean, he doesn't have to become a submission specialist, but he needs to learn to get back to his feet where he's clearly has an advantage at him. He's a monster lightweight. Rich getting the win, props to him. He got 60-plus wins. This is probably his last hurrah. If he was to manage to win this lightweight tournament, I don't think he has any chance of beating Michael Chandler. And that's really what I came away from this lightweight tournament was there's nobody that jumped out that I think has a chance to beat Chandler. I mean, it's MMA, so there's always the one punch knockout or flash submission. I mean, things happen, but I just don't see anybody talent-wise having the ability to step up and beat Mike Chandler.
Yeah, you know what? I honestly think, and I've thought quite a bit recently, who has the chance out of the lightweights to beat Mike Chandler, and I honestly think it's the best chance to beat Mike Chandler. I honestly think it's the dude he's fighting next, and that's Rick Horn. I think Rick Horn could give him some serious trouble. But out of this current lot, if Chandler gets past Horn, I don't see any of those guys beating, to be honest. Clemente versus Mike Chandler, honestly. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a talent deficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, Clemente gets hit way too often. So I agree. And I agree Rick Hahn has a chance, but I don't think Rick Hahn's going to beat Mike Chandler. I think that kid is I mean, he's not UFC top 10 caliber yet, but I mean, I think that he hangs around the lightweight division in Bellator and gets some more wins under his belt. I mean, the kid is skilled.
I think he's top 10 now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The lightweight division in UFC is really, really deep. I mean, he's got, Alvarez, but I'd have to see. You got to see the guy in there with more big name talent for me to really put him in with a top 10. I mean, those guys that are in the top 10 right now, to me, have been there, done that, and they've faced some tougher competition overall.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know. If you look at the rankings of any MMA site, right, if you name your top 5 lightweights off the top of your head, they don't have to be in order.
I mean, Ben Henderson, Frank Edgar's gone, so I guess I'd take him out of there. Gilbert Melendez, Diaz, Sony.
Mm-hmm.
How many is that? Is that 4?
So wait, if it was Mike Chandler versus Donald Cerrone, you don't think Mike Chandler could beat him?
I don't know, man. Donald Cerrone's a guy that I think when he is on, when he's at his top level, man, I think Donald Cerrone can beat anybody in the lightweight division. It's just, I mean, his loss to Nate Diaz, he was coming off of what was it, 4 fights in a row? I mean, within a short period of time. I mean, that's going to wear your body down, and I got a lot of faith in that guy. I think that guy's going to, he's eventually going to get a title shot, and I don't know. I mean,
not get Benson Henderson.
No, they I don't know the talent. I guess Chandler. You know what? He probably would. You know, thinking about it a little more, I guess he would be in the top 10. But I just hate when you put a guy in the top 10 that hasn't really, you know, he's only got one big win under his belt.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just you look at his upside. I mean, you look where he is now in the short amount of time that he's actually been doing the sport. He is pretty good.
No, I'm not saying that he is. I mean, skill wise, I guess when I go to say top 10, it's just I had this discussion a couple years ago when I think I was talking to somebody about the heavyweight division. In the heavyweight division, there was, or maybe it was light heavyweight. It was probably, and in fact, it was probably over Ryan Bader. There's just some guys, and I think that Chandler's way more talented than Ryan Bader. But I just think you got to get a few more wins against top talent for me to feel like you're top 10, even though maybe there's spots that you would fill where you would be ranked. If you were ranking fighters, you have to put the guy in the top 10 just because there's nobody else maybe that you see that's more talented. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just want to see the guy get a couple more wins.
Okay. Is were there any other fighters that, you know, tickled your fancy on Friday night?
No, not really. I mean, there was nobody else that I was just blown away by. I mean, like I said, the Terloni upset. I guess I was blown away by the fact that Nazare did not win that fight. Again, like I said, I thought the guy was going to win that fight. I mean, to me, he looked like the most well-rounded fighter, and you know he's fantastic on the ground. His stand-up looked great, and then he got caught. So, and it happens to the best of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Have you even watched the Fighter 16?
I have been. Unfortunately, I really hate to admit that.
I will easily say to you that I'm finding it very difficult to watch this season. Actually, to be honest, I'm not.
I mean, when was the last time there was? I think we talked about this. I mean, the last time that you watched an Ultimate Fighter that you really wanted to watch. I mean, maybe it was Rashad Evans, Quentin Jackson.
No, GSP Koscheck.
GSP Koscheck.
Really enjoyed that season.
I mean,
tell a lie. Actually, I watched every episode of Bisping versus Mayhem.
Yeah, I think I tell you, for the most part, I've watched every episode up until the last year and a half. I just don't care anymore, and it's just the product isn't that good, and I think that the numbers is doing is showing that they're just not putting a good product out there, which even the fights. I mean, and then you got on top of the fights not being the greatest, you've got judging now has been horrible the last 2 matches. And I don't know what Herb Dean was doing with the stand up there. I disagree with him standing him up there in the second round. It's just all around bad. I mean, Roy Nelson, is he who? Okay, if you were to name the worst coach ever in tough history, who would that be?
Rampage Jackson. Rampage versus Forrest Griffin. Okay,
I would disagree with that because Rampage came out and said, I'm not a good coach.
Actually, I take that back. Ken Shamrock.
Okay, Ken Shamrock was horrible. But I mean, Rampage said he was not a coach. I'm a bad coach. I suck at this. I'm just going to let my guys do the thing. Roy Nelson, I think, is the worst coach ever of a guy that is, has fought at an elite level and is in with the current MMA group and just looks like he's completely lost. I mean, coaching is not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. And you got to have it in you a little bit to be able to do it. And this guy doesn't have it. And the editing is making him look like he's an absolute idiot. I mean, they're editing this to the point where, by the time it's over with, you're going to be thinking that, Roy Nelson is probably riding the short bus to pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not entertained with this at all.
You know, you see, my issue with it is, and this is coming from someone who obviously doesn't watch the show, but I know a lot about TV because I did do I studied it sort of in uni, so I know a lot about TV and I know a lot about what people want. And when you sort of mix it with MMA as well, you get a sort of different perspective on the Ultimate Fighter. Now, how many people really, really, really care about Shane Carwin? Good fighter, good heavyweight. But how many people really care about Shane Carwin?
Well, I'd say it's pretty evident in the amount of people they show, or the amount of airtime that Shane Carwin gets on the Tough show. I mean, you hardly see the guy. So no one.
So no one really cares about Shane Carwin. Plus the fact that he's been injured for well over a year and hasn't fought in that amount of time, meaning he hasn't had much TV time, hasn't had much exposure. And then you get Roy Nelson, who's not really doing anything compared to what you're saying. So it's just not good TV. And if the fights aren't good and the coaches aren't interesting, then why are people going to watch?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, they have some, like I keep referring to Jersey Shore moments in the house that I know people that are reality fans that watch The Ultimate Fighter. They're not fans of MMA, and they keep tuning in for that stuff. But for the MMA fan, it's just getting harder and harder to watch.
I mean, I think there are reasons as to why it's so successful at the moment.
And it's on a Friday night, too, on top of that.
Yeah, Friday night over here, and Friday night over here is sort of like the dead zone, but on a Saturday night, where it's the dead zone in the US, it's huge in the UK. My brain can't comprehend why something like that would be such a big deal, if you know what I mean. But if you, I don't know, first of all, the biggest problem for me is at the first Ultimate Fighter, the talent was fantastic. Okay? For the time, the talent was fantastic. You don't really get that in the US version of the Ultimate Fighter. You might get it in Ultimate Fighters abroad, like Tough Brazil, or even Tough Smashes in Australia versus UK. Some real diamonds in the rough. But you don't really have that in the US anymore. I mean, Bristol Morande, really? Okay, cool. And I think that's the main problem for me personally. There's not, are we going to find someone that's really fantastic? Are we going to get another Rashad Evans? I don't think so. I think the last really, was there anyone, what was the last season? That was Dominic Cruz versus Uriah Faber, right?
Right.
Who won that?
That was it wasn't Diego Brandows. That was Chiesa and Iaquinta.
Are they really going to go far?
Exactly, no.
John Dodson and... Yeah, no, I'm not even going to say Diego Brandao. John Dodson is the last person who could potentially do well.
I don't know. Dennis Bermudez, even though he didn't win, I think that Bermudez is...
He's going to get caught. He's going to get caught.
He will, but I think he's looked pretty good. But the reason that one I think was good is because they did bantamweights and featherweights. It's a class that they haven't done. They've never done on the Ultimate Fighter, and on top of that, it's a still growing class. So you got a lot of young guys. It's a growing weight class. You got a lot of young talent. It's still undiscovered.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? But what would you do to choose the Ultimate Fighter, to change the Ultimate Fighter to make it better?
Yeah, I don't.
We already plans to move it off a Friday night, so that's one thing I would.
I think that's probably the biggest thing to get the numbers back is to move it. And to me, you've got to make a decision to make it either more entertainment towards the entertainment side, or take it more towards the sports side. And to me, the UFC's I think UFC's already made that statement that they're wanting to take it more towards entertainment. Up the entertainment value, and you have to get guys that are coaches that are relevant. I mean, Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson, they supposedly have this big beef between the two of them, but I mean, they're both really not that funny, and they don't have big comebacks. They're not big talkers, and so it's just not interesting. I mean, that's what you got to do is you got to put two entertaining guys in there, and if you want to get those numbers up, I mean, I think that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, but here's the thing: GSP wasn't a massive talker. Not massive the comebacks, but it was still riveting to watch him versus Koscheck.
Well, but Koscheck is. You have to have one guy. So that's
sorry. I said riveting. I say slightly interesting. Riveting's like Inception.
But you've got Koscheck, who's a giant ass, and does, or at least appears to be, and does a really good job of doing that, of playing the heel. And George has a huge following. I mean, right now we've got Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson, which we've already discussed. I mean, Roy Nelson has the beer gut crowd, and Shane Carwin, I mean, maybe there's a host of engineers out there that are really pulling for him, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, I suppose so. Well, they're trying to change it up. They're moving it off Friday nights to wherever they're going to move it to. Question is, what do you think of the new coaches for the Ultimate Fighter 17? John Jones and Chael Sonnen.
Oh man! Well, I tell you what, I feel I feel vindicated because I have been in countless arguments with people over whether or not MMA is a sport or is it sports entertainment. And with this decision, the UFC says unequivocally that this is sports entertainment because Chael Sonnen does not deserve this on any level. The last time the guy fought at light heavyweight, he lost to Babalu, and that was almost 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm sure that this has been said 100 times over. The guy doesn't deserve it. I mean, the only reason this is happening is because there's a lot of people that don't like John Jones that are hoping Chael is going to beat John Jones because they're crazy. And then there's a lot of people that hate Chael Sonnen, and so they're going to be hoping that John just smashes the living hell out of him, which is in all likelihood what is going to happen.
Yes.
It'll make for great TV, sort of, for like a couple weeks. Chael's already reusing his old material about you've got my belt, blah, 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 blah. And John is not funny. John is not good in front of a camera. So I don't see John saying a bunch of stuff that's going to, get it going. I mean, it might be good for John because you get to see, people get to see more of him. And I mean, there's been fighters that, that have a stigma and people dislike that have came away from that. I think people came away with a little bit of different opinion of them. And there's been fighters that have gone in that people liked, and Matt Hughes. I think the Ultimate Fighter was horrible for his for his fan base. But I don't see it being entertaining either. Though. I mean, looking at it, it should be entertaining. But I think John he's more Randy Couture, GSP when it comes to talking. And those guys just don't talk trash. And when they do, it sounds weird. They just don't come out right. And then Chael Sonnen, I mean, I don't know if he writes his material or if he does it on his own, but he's got to keep that material going for 16 weeks. It's just not going to happen. And so, and then in the end, we got to pay $60 to watch John Jones beat the living shit out of a guy that has no business being in the cage with him.
Yeah, you know what? It's just. I don't even know if there are any coaches that I'd like to see Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. I think some serious shit could be talked there. It would be interesting,
No, and it's a fight that should happen. It's relevant, so I would agree with that.
Yeah, and Fox is, for me personally, it's not going to make them serious money. I mean, I know 700 million sounds like a fantastic amount, but as a US, how much the NFL get from whoever they're with whenever they up their contract? A whole lot more? Am I right or am I wrong?
I lost you there for a little bit. What'd you say?
Sorry. I know a lot of us think that 700 million is a lot of money, but it's not. Obviously, the Fox contract is 100 billion every year from Fox to the UFC. So, in my opinion, what they should be doing is if it's there for 7 years, they should be building up stars. That's why if you put Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cerrone, you're going to build stars. Everyone knows who Anthony Pettis is, and if they don't know who he is, they know what he did.
No, I agree. That's the Showtime kick, which we'll discuss a little bit further when we talk about Here Comes the Boom in our entertainment segment. But yeah, the fans know who Anthony Pettis is, and those that don't, though, the thing of it is if you had Donald Cerrone, you had Anthony Pettis on TV. Those guys both talk a ton of trash, and they're witty, and it's going to be fun. and people are going to enjoy it. And so, and again, it's relevant. It doesn't take away from the sport. John Jones, Chael Sonnen, to me, takes away from the sport. I mean, I just can't. I can't even fathom it. I mean, I understand it's absolutely 100% just entertainment and money. That is all this fight is, because Vitor Belfort, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Stephan Bonner, those were fights out of necessity. I mean, nobody else was there to step up. Vitor stepped up. Anderson Silva, Stephan Bonner was there to save a pay-per-view. So those fights happen. I can get past that, and I understand those fights happening. But this fight makes absolutely zero sense. And maybe, you know what, this is, plain hindsight. I didn't think about it at the time. It might be a part of it because we had John fighting so much, so often at the beginning of his championship run that he leveled the playing field. He destroyed everybody, and so you don't have anyone else to put in front of him to let some of these guys like Gustafsson and Teixeira fight and build themselves up and keep the light heavyweight division feeling fresh. Now they're back to where they're having to, bring guys in that have already fought him and somewhat as recently as a year ago, and where does that leave the light heavyweight division? So I don't know, man, but it's just not a fight that I'm happy with. I mean, they say the fans want to see it, but I tell you what, the Chicago Cubs, I don't know if you're familiar with that MLB organization, but I'm pretty sure their fans would really, really like to see them in a World Series and win it. But I don't see them all of a sudden saying, well, you know what, we're going to take the Cubs, we're going to put you in the World Series because the fans really want you there. And we're going to give you a 3-game lead because you're generally shit, and there's no way in hell you're going to win the World Series. But we want to make it competitive, so we're going to put you there. We're going to give you a 3-game lead. Everybody else, you got to play the Cubs in the World Series. That's not how it works. It's wins and losses. That's what gets you there, and that's the way it should be in MMA. And but clearly, it's not. It is sports entertainment, and talking your way into championships is possible, and it is what it is. And so, but the people that want to argue about it being a sport are going to have to take a back seat because that's clearly not what this is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know. It just sort of saddens me now. When everyone sort of has like a bad response to the entire sort of the idea of Sonnen being the coach of John Jones, you'd automatically think that Dana White would probably be like, right guys, we heard what the fans are saying. Not sure if we want to do this. And if here's my thing with it as well, right? If Sonnen is the only one who said, I'll take the fight. What about Dad Henderson? Surely his knee's fine by now, and if it's not fine by now, I'm sure he could coach the Ultimate Fighter and be ready
healthy
in time for April.
No, I agree. I mean, like I said, it's all about just creating controversy and getting, the meatheads that just want to see good TV going, and that's what it's about. And I think it's a shame. And John Jones, what really irritates me is John made a comment, is probably 2 months ago, that he wanted to get away from being on TV as much. He wanted to get away from doing all the interviews. He wanted to be more like GSP, fight his fights, and just do his thing. And I thought, man, I was like, that's a really mature point to take. The limelight's great, but I want to take a step back, and I just want to, I want to do my thing. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's the amount of money. I mean, sure, this is a giant pot full of money that's being offered to do this, and he's getting stuck back doing something that I thought he really didn't want to have to do. And it's just bad all the way around. I just don't like it. I mean, Dana White's going to be doing Scrooge McDuck, I'm sure, after this, and just diving in giant pots of money, assuming these guys both stay healthy through it all. But and the fight happens, but it's just. I don't agree with it. There's nothing about this fight that I can agree with and get behind.
Yeah, neither can I. Can you tell how sad I am about it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you do MMA for a living. I mean, you write about MMA for a living. I mean, you could probably name 4 or 5 guys that you even with bad records you'd rather see in this fight than Chael Sonnen. And it's just. I don't know, man. I can't. I really cannot get over that this is the direction that they're going to take the sport.
I just want to see Dana. Look, I know. I don't think there's anyone in the light heavyweight division that can beat John Jones. This is simple. I'll state this now. But I am all about fairness, and I'm a sports fan, right? So, in my eyes, does someone coming off a TKO defeat to Anderson Silva deserve to jump in and face John Jones? No? Who has he fought in the lightweight heavyweight division? If he beat Forrest Griffin, at least they could have said that he fought in the light heavyweight division whilst, Chuck Liddell wasn't the champion. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly, man. That's exactly right. Is that that it would, you could try to make it legitimate, even if you want to make it as to where the real fans might not be like, okay, you know what, Forrest Griffin doesn't want to fight anymore. Beating Forrest Griffin should mean 0. But going in, they were talking, Forrest is one of the top light heavyweights and all that stuff. And if they want to throw that out there and they want to build it up and let Chael get a couple easy wins, okay. And you know what? Maybe Forrest comes in 100, guns blazing. Forrest has got good takedown defense and makes a fight of it, and people feel like Chael should be moving up there. But just giving it to him, man, I think it's just really detrimental to the sport. And I guess maybe it goes back to, though, that the fans of the sport still have short-term memory. Mm-hmm. They the long term they kind of forget about, and so when this fight happens, they'll be ignoring the fact that Chael has done nothing. I'm really kind of curious how they're going to promote it. How they're going to promote Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva, as Chael having not any chance to win this fight. I mean, his only chance to win this fight is to get it to the ground. That's not going to happen. Maybe it happens in the first round. Maybe. I mean, but I cannot see anywhere. Chael wins this fight if John comes in injured. That's it. And we all know that Greg Jackson is not going to let John fight injured. So, no chance. 0 chance. He's not going to knock John out. He's not going to out-wrestle John. 0 chance.
You know what? I can honestly see John Jones getting taken down by Sonnen. And even if that does happen, I genuinely think that just because we haven't seen John Jones on the ground doesn't mean he hasn't got the most disgusting off his background game that we've ever seen in our entire life. I'm pretty sure we've seen him pull guard and like go for triangles. Do you know what I mean? I think that was against Rampage.
Yeah,
he pulled guard against Rampage and went for a triangle choke. So I think he's pretty comfortable off his back. It's just
I would say he is, and you know what, Sonnen is an elite wrestler, and Sonnen could press him and try to get him against the. But John is so strong. I just cannot see the way Chael gets a fight to the ground is through the clinch work and whatnot. I don't see him running the pipe on John. It's just I don't see it happening. I mean, Chael does not offer anything standing to make John worry about. All John's going to have to worry about is his takedowns.
Okay.
So, but I mean, we could talk about this on end. It's just irritating as hell. But I mean, evidently, supposedly the fans wanted this, so I guess they'll be happy.
Cool. Right, so now that we're done with the Sonnen talk, because we don't want everyone to jump off the building and kill themselves, let's talk about some steroids in MMA. I think has anything come up recently that would make you want to talk about this, Mr. Simpson? Because you sent me a message saying the latest on the steroid front in MMA, and I'm thinking, have I missed everything?
Well, yeah, actually there has, and one is that Shane Carwin has
check the news, but the last time. Sorry?
Go ahead. I was saying one thing, that Shane Carwin turned down the opportunity to be tested by VADA. Roy Nelson was for it. Shane's against it. Shane being, previously being busted for PEDs, using PEDs.
Was he busted though, or was he just on a list? He was just on a list. There was no real. Busting.
You're right. He was just on a list. But I'm sorry, but if you turn down the test, that to me personally, that says you're using. Because the test that VADA does is a really solid through and through. It hits everything: the blood doping, the EPOs, synthetic testosterone. I mean, everything. It hits everything. EPO and blood dosing is the same thing. But regardless, it hits them all. Whereas the stuff that the NSAC does is not very thorough. And there's so many ways to get around this. And you and I have talked about this on end. Is that if you want to get past it, you just got to be smart, have an intelligent doctor on your side, and you can get past it. And they don't even, and like when they test for TRT, they don't even test for synthetic testosterone. They just test your testosterone levels to epitestosterone levels. That's it. So they don't even, if a guy's testing, 6-to-1, they don't even know if the guy's using synthetic testosterone. They just assume that, this guy just evidently has high testosterone versus everybody else. And Victor Conte, who was the president, or not the president, but the founder of Balco, has came out and said that he feels that 50% of MMA athletes are doping in some form or another. And now you have to put this in context. This guy also said that about the MLB. But the thing of it is, I believe him. I think that it's rampant in sports in general. I mean, I think that's why the products you're seeing out there in the MMA world and the NFL and the NHL and MLB and soccer and biking and all that it's so much better than what it was 10 years ago is because these guys are all hyped up. I mean, and the fact that the commissioners don't give a shit because you know what, the product in the end is better. You get a better product. In MMA, you get a better product if some of these guys are doped up because you know what, these guys can fight. They can fight longer. They can fight to later stages in their life. I mean, they can fight till in their 40s. Whereas if this doping wasn't there, they might not be able to do that. They might not have the recovery to do that. They can fight more often. And I think it's just, you know, I guess you can decide, was Dana White a bad guy or a good guy for doing this? I mean, it would cost him roughly $750,000 to do the type of testing that needs to be done to really clean up the sport. So roughly, I think I looked at it. It would break down to like $22,000 to $24,000 a pay-per-view or a contest, depending on how many guys are fighting, obviously, because each guy's roughly $1,000. I think that you should do that. Personally, I mean, if it's illegal and you're wanting to get, you know, it's not supposed to happen, you should be testing. You shouldn't be, but they don't want to do that because they don't want to lose their top guys. And I think they would lose some of their top guys if they did the right testing and really tried to clean up the sport. And that's the same thing with all other sports, though. It's not just MMA. If these guys, if the testing was really thorough, you would see the top guys dropping left and right because you know what? At some point, their bodies break down. And at some point, they got to make a decision. Okay, do I get out of the sport or do I look for other avenues to maybe add some longevity and continue to win?
Okay, fair enough. Well, you know what? I'm sort of just, when a dude gets popped for PEDs, I'm just sort of like, well, I'm not fussed anymore. That's sad. You know, well, I'm not. I won't say that I'm not fussed. I'm more like, I'm not surprised. Do you know? Because it's just, you can never be sure these days. When everyone's like, oh, Forrest Griffin is on that. Well, is TRT a PED? Can we call that a PED?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a performance-enhancing drug. I mean, you use it. It allows you to recover faster, lift more weights, cardio. I mean, it does everything. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got, what was it? Who else was, there's Frank Mir recently. Yeah. I mean, they're handing out the waivers left and right for people to be able to use TRT. And I'm sorry, man, but I just have a hard time buying that all these guys need it. And then, but when you look at like Olympic caliber wrestlers that train just as hard as the MMA guys, they don't do that. You don't see the Olympic committees handing it. You don't see them handing out TRT exemptions. It's just in MMA. So, I mean, and it's not just in MMA, but you know, that's the whole thing is that they train hard, and so it lowers their testosterone or their steroid, or some people feel it's steroid abuse. Maybe that causes the lower TRT. But to me, it's all BS. I mean, because if you sit and look at it, it's all just junk science and stuff that they're. And on top of that, you can make your testosterone levels low on your own. You can just, I mean, you can make them low up here low so that you get the exemption. It's just a slippery slope, man. That's a really overused saying, but it's the truth. And I guess, you know, you got to decide. You know, do you want a clean sport? You want to, you know, do the right thing, or would you rather have a sport where, you know, you do have guys that can do superhuman things?
Oh, who knows? A person. It's like the question: do you want to see? Would you rather watch a 100-meter sprint between everyone who's like crazy warriors to the brains, or would you rather watch a 100-meter sprint with everyone who's on the same playing field, of everyone's level of just being normal? What would you rather see when you know for a fact that you're going to get a more entertaining race from the guys who, you know, when they're on the roads?
I think it's clear. I mean, I think that it's clear what everyone wants. And I mean, for the most part, I don't think the fans get mad if somebody tests positive and is in a fight. But if you don't put it out there, fans aren't gonna. I mean, the fans aren't gonna go looking for it. And clearly, Dana doesn't care. I mean, because Dana could absolutely afford to do the proper testing. the UFC could 100% afford to do the proper testing. They give over 150K out in bonuses. They could afford to do the proper testing, but they don't want to because they know that they're going to lose fighters. And if fighters not wanting to do the VADA testing, it's because they know they're going to pop. I mean, that's the only reason I wouldn't do it. I mean, if I have nothing to hide, I'll do it. I'll do it all day long. But if I got something to hide, I'm not going to do it.
Fair enough, Matt, fair enough. I think that's like a 60-second rant sort of mixed in with just general mattiness. So there we go. Since there are no, is there a fight next weekend?
We got Bellator, but we'll break it down next weekend when it happens.
Okay, cool. Right, on to the entertainment stage. Boom, boom, boom. That's the theme music that I've just come up with off the top of my head. So, the Walking Dead premiere. By the way, Sunday's not the best night for TV in America.
It's absolutely crazy.
Dexter and Homeland. Are they all on at the same time?
Roughly. Well, I mean, Dexter and Homeland are back to back, but Walking Dead's right in there with them. So you gotta have the DVR going. You gotta rock the DVR now. What do
you sacrifice?
It usually depends on what this and our last weekend I watched The Walking Dead, but it just depends on what next weekend holds. If it looks like it's which episode's going to be the most exciting or what I'm looking forward to the most. It's really a toss up, man, because all three shows are fantastic.
Okay, fair enough. So, what do you think of The Walking Dead premiere?
That's
I'm
great.
looking forward to hearing this. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
I thought it was great. I mean, there was a ton of zombies, and I always love to see the mass amount of zombies that these guys come up with, and the fact that they're able to create some new zombie looks. I'm always big on checking that stuff out. But I thought it was a good episode, man, and I thought it was a little weird with the way Rick's wife Lori was acting, especially being the way she was acting towards the end of last season when she was kind of distancing herself from Rick and was blaming Rick for Shane's death, even though she thought he should have killed Shane and yada yada yada. But they seem to have got this Lori we have right now is going back to the Lori that's in the comic books. So I don't know if there was a big fan outcry that everybody's like, "This is not Lori. Lori would not say these things, would not do these things." If they're trying it seemed like they're trying to get back to that a little bit, which is a good thing to me. I can forgive them for what they did towards the end of last season and forget that Lori and accept the new Lori. And the ending, man, wow, that was some pretty solid gore porn. I mean, that was nasty.
Oh, yeah, right. Zombies in riot gear, love it.
Oh yeah, no, that was cool. I mean, like I said, it was a fun episode. It was fast paced. I can't wait to see what this season holds for us. I mean, it's this, like we discussed last week. This is by far and away the best arc in the Walking Dead series. The what we're getting ready to watch right now on the TV in the comic book. This is by far and away the best story arc that they've produced so far. So this is going to be a really, really fun season.
Erica, I know you're a big fan of The Walking Dead. What do you think?
Sorry. Well, personally, I don't really equate the television series with the comic books because there's such a they already have strayed so far from what the original comic books were. I don't think it's fair to say, hey, this particular character is not like the comic books. Mind you, Shane died in the very beginning, but you kept him for 3 seasons. But I'm mad because this one character is not like it was in the comic book. I just can't do that. I thought the series premiere was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I do find it frustrating at times. It is a very slow-moving series. I like slow-moving shows in general, but I think it's just that I'm really looking forward to tonight's episode. So I was a little pissed last week that there wasn't more, which is a good thing. That's what you want your audience to. You kind of want to piss your audience off a little bit at the end. You want them to come back and watch the next episode. The instant that you satisfy your audience, I feel like you kind of lose them, and they may or may not come back. They might find something better. So, I am looking forward to it, and I really enjoyed it.
Nice,
And that is
nice. Personally for me, I'm actually just going nuts over Homeland and Dexter. The Walking Dead, yeah, it's amazing, everything. But Dexter this season, fantastic. Homeland, every episode is fantastic. Amazing. But there's one show that's coming back this week that is dear to my heart. Can any of you guess what this is? Erica, of all people, you should know what it is. No?
Why me? Why would I know?
Because you watch the show as well.
It's a show that's coming on. Is it coming on tonight?
No, it's coming on.
Is it Happy Endings?
Oh, on Tuesday, Happy Endings.
Yeah,
Yes.
baby. I'm so happy. It's literally made me. It's what I've been looking forward to. It's basically Happy Endings and Breaking Bad, but I need to come back into my life. Because obviously Matt hasn't watched Breaking Bad yet. Like a fool. Like a fool. Any of you guys watched any films recently? I watched Chronicle last night. That was weird.
You didn't like it, or just you thought it was weird?
It was weird. I mean, I don't know how. I kind of liked it, and I understand what they were doing, but it was just, you know, when you watch a film and you go, I get it, but I'm just like, there's something about this that isn't really working for me. It feels a bit, I don't know. I just couldn't. I was getting into it, but it just didn't feel. I think I wasn't fully into it. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought that the spin that they put it, especially towards the end, I really enjoyed what they did with the end of the movie.
I saw Looper on bootleg.
Okay. What did you think of that?
I really liked it. It was a bit convoluted at points, and if you're not paying attention, you definitely will come back and you'll be like, what just happened? I don't understand. I'm confused. Where did this character come from? And why is this happening? And
what point was it? What did you feel that way? Because I really felt like it was they streamlined it fairly well.
Well, it wasn't me. I was watching it with somebody else, and they were confused.
And they were getting lost?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. I mean, my wife, she gets lost fairly easily in movies. And
I'm surprised you would say that. That movie, I would agree that movie gets very convoluted at parts where you're trying to figure out. There were several points that I think she had a really good reason to get confused, especially if you're not paying attention at the very beginning when they're explaining about the loopers and closing the loop. You might get a little confused as to what's going on between him and Bruce Willis. And
but they kind of hammered that home for like 15 minutes with all the loopers closing their loops and all that stuff.
But if you miss the explanation, then you're lost. I mean, I liked the movie. I understood the movie, but I can understand how people would get lost in that movie quite easily.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one because I think they hammered it home pretty well.
So again, what?
I said I think we'll have to disagree to or agree to disagree with that because I think they, like I said, there was like a 15-minute segment where they were just closing loops, and so I kind of thought they put that through pretty well.
Well, I personally enjoyed it. I think it's. Would I say it's the best film of the year? Yeah, I probably would say it's the best film of the year, considering how much I was looking forward to Dark Knight Rises, which, by the way, made more money than The Dark Knight, so essentially it is the better film.
Hey, did it make more money than The Avengers?
No.
Okay.
It's very close to, though. It's very close to making more money. Why you got to say that for?
Oh, I just know because it just bothers you.
Fuck, bro.
Well, it's such an unfair comparison, too. It really is. Oh, wow, a whole bunch of people like the popcorn movie. Surprise.
Yeah. Well, that's what
I like Avengers, but I mean, you can't deny that it's not a popcorn movie. It's a popcorn movie.
Well, it is. But it's
I can
fantastic.
leave for 20 minutes and come back, and I haven't missed anything. You know, I know I can pick up exactly where I left off. At no point are you like, man, what happened? Did I miss some important point in the storyline? No, you didn't. You missed some quippy dialogue, probably some really interesting wire work, and some explosions. That's it. Keep going. Continue.
Right, and with The Dark Knight, if you step away, you'll miss like the whole 6-month segment of what happened to Batman and how he got back to Gotham. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't happen.
Is that your biggest complaint about that movie?
No, I can complain about all kinds of stuff, but I liked it, so I really don't like to complain and pick movies apart. But I do pick that apart just to piss off Andre.
Fair enough.
I like to pick the movie apart just to drive Andre nuts. But I liked both movies, so I don't really like to pick something apart that I really enjoyed.
Matt, suck it. That's all I have to say. Right, cool. Any films that you watched on the weekend?
Oh yes, unfortunately, I didn't get to go crazy. I was really trying to see like 3 or 4 movies this weekend, and it didn't work out. I did go watch Here Comes the Boom.
Oh, how was that?
Oh man, well, I have to preface this with that I'm not a Kevin James fan. So
okay,
those that are, which I can't imagine that they're a ton out there, but there is evidently enough that allows him to continue to make movies and not go back to TV.
Kevin James is a huge star. Huge star.
Yes, he is. He's a huge star. I enjoyed Kevin James somewhat in King of Queens, so I mean, I'd like to see him back on TV, but in the movies, not at all. Anyways, but Here Comes the Boom. I mean, the preface of the movie was a teacher going to save music class by fighting in mixed martial arts and eventually getting a shot at the UFC to make enough money to keep the program going. I think really what hurt the movie the most, outside of Kevin James being in it, was that the UFC let them use their product and footage and whatnot, and so they couldn't lampoon things that would have been funny. And really, the movie comes off not being that funny. I mean, really, the funniest parts in the movie was Boss Rutan, and basically Boz was just being Boz most of the time. It was really like they're like, okay, Boss, this is what's going to happen in this scene. We're not going to give you a script. You just do whatever you would do if you were in this scene. I mean, it was basically like an hour and a half of Inside MMA, where I mean, I don't know how much you watch Inside MMA, but Boz a lot of times will just go off on crazy tangents and say crazy stuff and I find it funny, and I like Boz. Some people don't, but I like him. And that was basically what he did in the show. I mean, he had some funny moments, but most of the stuff that could have been really, really fun, like maybe having an announcer that is something like Frank Shamrock, or having the promotions, the president of the promotion wearing really tight T-shirts. I mean, just doing stupid stuff that some fans would find funny. Some would think this is retarded. But that happens a lot in comedies. But they didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, so it wasn't that funny of a movie. It wasn't an original storyline. I really can't think of any positives about it, to be honest. And so, I mean, if you're a big fan of MMA, I would check it out maybe when it comes out on DVD. If you're a big fan of Kevin James, there's nothing I can say to stop you from going and seeing this movie, clearly. So you're going to go see it regardless. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there was some cool thing. At the end of the movie, there was a fight scene that they did. They did some kind of cool camera work that was poorly implemented, where like they had the camera like a head cam, and so like you saw the fight from like inside the clinch and inside like a gator roll and stuff like that, and so it was kind of neat. But other than that, there really isn't anything. Jason Mayhem Miller looked better than he ever has in any MMA fight, however, on this. So if he possessed the skills that he possesses in the movie, I mean, he'd probably still be in the UFC. So overall, I'm saying that this is not one I would. Yeah. Overall, I'm saying that this movie is not a recommended movie for the fans out there.
Dark.
Yeah, I really wanted to like it too. I really did. I thought this was going to be maybe like a necessary roughness to necessary roughness to football, as Here Comes the Boom to MMA. But I mean, Necessary Roughness is a bad movie, but there was parts of it that were funny, and Scott Bakula was. Scott Bakula. You can't go wrong with Scott Bakula. So
wait a minute, wasn't Scott Bakula the dude who was in Time? What the fuck was it called? Time?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of either. The long-standing TV series.
Quantum Leap is what you're.
Time Leap.
No.
Yeah. Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Yeah. That was Scott Bakula.
That show was awesome. I used to love that.
But so next week, the weekend should be interesting because I'm going to watch Cloud Atlas, who if there was ever a movie that had the opportunity to be convoluted, that will be the movie. The book is extremely convoluted. I mean, it's hard to get lost in a book because it's real easy to just go back and read a chapter, but that book is fairly convoluted. So I have full faith in this movie getting good critic reviews, because it's going to be impossible to understand, and everybody's going to think that it has some kind of weird meaning that nobody really gets.
Yeah, you know what I kind of see is it has a strong possibility of sucking like major ass.
It's lucky that Branded came out this year, because Branded is still by far and away. I mean, Cloud Atlas would have to. I don't know what any movie actually this year would have to do to be worse than Branded, but I mean, it'd be an achievement because at the end of the year, I'm going to give my top 5 shitfest films of the year, and I don't see anyone overtaking Branded.
I think we're going to have a really long show. Like, our last show of the year is going to be really long.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have the UFC 155. We'll have all kinds of stuff.
I mean, if we look on my phone, look at the calendar. Actually, you know what? I can't find my phone. But the weekend before the 29th. Oh, when is that? Erica, this is the part where I could do with your help. Could you tell me the weekend before the 29th? Because I want to make sure that fans know how great this weekend's going to be.
It'll be the 22nd, wouldn't it?
It'll be the 22nd. All right, cool. So it's going to be so great simply because, one, I'm going to be doing it old school because I'm going to be hungover to death. 2, I will be back in the original headquarters of Across the Pond MMA, i.e. my mum's house. 3, we're going to have Rich Slatton, MMA comic, Rob MMA, hopefully, Nick Robertson, former THQ employee and now massive YouTube whore, the wonderful Erica coming on the show with the group, me and Matt. It's going to be completely epic. I can't wait for it. Can we just skip? Could we have to do another show? Can we just like let it go and then go to that week? No?
No, I don't think so.
No, that sucks. Anything else you guys talk about?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. I think it was a pretty good show.
Okie dokie. Anyone you'd like to thank Mr. Simpson?
As always, give a shout out to FightFansRadio.com. Check them out. We've got a lot of great podcasts over there, besides us to go listen to. Shout out to Eric Lewis and Andre Jacobs. And check us all out on Twitter. Matt Simpson MMA, Andre Jacobs MMA, and FightFans Erica, and that's Erica with a K on Twitter.
Yeah. Shout out to Erica. Shout out to Mr. Simpson. Make sure you follow Matt at Matt Simpson's MMA, and whatever you said for Erica, I can't actually remember. This has been Across the Pond MMA on FightFans Radio. Make sure you follow them and like them on Facebook. Erica, get ready to play that funky music because we're out of here. Peace.